subterranean threat. Anything related to caves, tunnels, underground human trafficking, Hollow Earth, Nephilim, etc. Every major US city has thousands of people living underground in tunnels, and no one talks about them. They hold elections and have real estate and a society that we never see right below ours. Pick related is Las Vegas sewer. That will be us someday soon, hiding below from all the brainwashed people on the surface, walking around with Elon's brain chips. Has anyone seen that post of that there's millions of people underground in darkness, eating feces and screaming in darkness, and they are cordoned off, and the military does not know what to do with them? I know the military has used sewer people as target practice. I think in Diego Garcia, they harvest children from them. Okay, this is an interesting topic. Do you mean they live in natural tunnels, i.e. interconnected caves, or government-made tunnels, DUMBs? It depends. They live in caves and natural tunnels, but they also live in sewers and giant storm drains. You can't make blanket statements about people who live underground in the US because there's so many spread across a huge country. When big cities flood, there's usually a lot of homeless who die. In Vegas, they go around warning people to get out and take their stuff because we are expecting big rains. Their stuff will often get washed into grates and plug their tunnels, causing even more flooding and deaths. It's incredible to me that every major city has civilizations that exist and are rarely even documented. If you go underground in a lucid dream, you will find that instead of solid earth, it's actually more layers of surface reality at different periods of primeval history. There is also other stuff buried under the earth, like God's earlier experiments with human life, such as 70-foot tall human giant skeletons and the like. If you actually do find underneath, you can find rock crystal elementals, and eventually, Agarthian earth spirits. You can grow food down there. Mushrooms grow without lights. If you do even a little research, you'll see the underworld humans have created a self-sustaining environment. Plus, they can still get stuff from above ground from time to time. I remember one documentary where they sent members to get donations and trash that could be fixed. They have electricity in many of these places. Some even have computers, and many have TVs. Humans are like roaches and will adapt to any environment. I love the thematic, but it's always the same. Since nobody makes progress, it will be the same stories, green text, LARP threads, so-called whistleblower threads we see shared. And no, a guy telling something is not a whistleblower. Fuck. Like the under-the-sea alien factory mega AI ship, or the dream guy of alien invasion. Whistleblowing walks along with providing undeniable facts. These guys have a ticket from media and jail. It's not whistleblowing to write a good story without any proof. So it is with this theme. Again, a bunch of guys will post stories of guys telling the stories about being elite soldiers and underground kids and creatures. Point is, sorry, I read that every 3 months. Every month the same shit, and it's time to talk about real, legit things. Not that I don't believe in it, I do, but just a bunch of text without anything. You know what? We circle around that, if just believing every shit that sounds scary and or sounds fun as legit. I'm gonna skip the rest of the rhyme, I don't care. Conversely, there is a documentary made in the 90s about the homeless living in the underground tunnels of NYC. Pick related to Fred, there are tunnels under my university. So, I've got 3 that stand out, and 2 of them are more funny than anything. I'll green text these like a goofy mofo. 1. Be me. 21 at the time. Been hanging out with my friends. Let's call them Carl and Em. We're sitting around playing guitar and drinking in Carl's living room. Dude's house borders on a retention basin. Retention basin has a tunnel in it. It's like 8 p.m. and we decide to grab a flashlight and go through the tunnel. About a mile into the tunnel, and it's all just graffiti and spiders. Carl sees a small side tunnel and points it out to us. Probably like 5 feet tall, lol. No way any of us could get through that without ducking hardcore. I decide to yell into the tunnel. I yell, "Ollie ollie oxenfree." A few seconds pass and nothing. And then, a loud ass banging noise, like someone hitting concrete with a stick. We're freaking out, but also too stupid to be super afraid. Carl yells, "Hey there Delilah, what's it like in New York City?" Banging sound stops for a second. Ice cream truck music starts coming from the hole. Starts to get louder. Louder. Emma's like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. We all sorta assume some homeless dude or taggers are fucking with us and follow him out of the tunnel. Sit on a half wall near the tunnel for about half an hour while M smokes. We see a scruffy ass homeless dude walk out of the tunnel while we're sitting on the wall. We wave at him. So, be me, 16 at the time, in a drain tunnel over near Rainbow Library. The drain tunnel is sketchy as fuck. Always has random broken laptops and phones in front of it. It's Halloween. I decide to go into the tunnel with my buddy Victor because I am dumb. Get about half a mile or so in. We see a mattress in someone's living area. We start getting sketched out. Keep walking a little further. We run into this lady. She's got these John Lennon looking glasses on and a red jacket. She's crouched in a corner, smoking invisible cigarettes, murmuring to herself, missing like all her teeth. Probably 30 something, but looks about 80. I decide we should talk to her. I go up and introduce myself. She shakes my hand and starts talking to us about the fucking aliens and the fucking pigeons. And, man, the aliens are fucking angels, and they put fucking tinfoil in the pigeons to make them fly south. We're just like, what the fuck? But it's also kind of funny to us. She proceeds to tell us about how she was abducted in a van, and the aliens did experiments on her to replace parts of her brain with tinfoil, and now she can communicate with angels. We're just playing along like, that's crazy. She says that when people use metal detectors, she can sense it in her brain, and it causes her pain because the frequencies penetrate through her skull to reach the foil the aliens implanted, and this upsets the angels who hide amongst humans as pigeons. Just crazy shit for like an hour. Talk with her for maybe 2 hours. Offer food, water. Can't get any degree of coherence from here. Eventually, we just wind up giving her some spare change we had and leaving. Still had no idea if she was on strong deliriums or just schizo, maybe both. Reminded me of how they see people act when they take datura. 3. This one is short but funny. Be me. Maybe 18 or 19 at the time. In a drain tunnel, taking pics of graffiti with my old ass camera. It's like 5 PM or so. I'm maybe a mile into the tunnel. This is a double tunnel. The two sides are separated by a wall with occasional people. It's located in a ditch over near a park called the Hills. Anyway, like I said, I'm about a mile into this thing. Pitch black, but I've got a powerful flashlight, so I and my camera can see everything. Sudden urge to piss. Decide to just turn my flashlight off and piss in the dark against the corner of the tunnel. Flashlight goes off. Pitch black. Can't see shit. Start pissing. Hear a voice off in the distance. Sounds like Uncle Samsonite. That's a nice stream you got there. Stop pissing midstream. Freaking out. Pull my pants all the way up and turn the flashlight on. About 600 feet in the distance, I see a face peering at me through the hole in the split wall. I noped the fuck out of there. I came back about a month later and went in the other channel. Thing was full of hypodermic needles. Like, thousands. Hey X, does anyone know about creatures or stuff that lives in sewers, underground stations, storm drains? Be me and friend. Bored as fuck. Decide to go into a sewer thing nearby his house. We used to go there a lot as kids, but stopped going once we were about 10. Walk in. Remember all the creepypasta I read online. Want to go right now. Have to remind myself it's not real and I should stop being a coward. We go deeper in the sewer/storm drain. Hear noises behind us. Assume it's cars under a road. Hear same sounds later. Realize it sounds like footsteps. Other people probably came in, so whatever. Soon noises stop. Thank God, they were creeping me out. Soon starts up again, but louder, and sounds more like slurred talk. Starts sounding like gurgles and yelling. Nope. We start running back. In the heat of the moment, we thought that was a good idea, even though it's where the noises were coming from. Go near the entrance, see the light. See a figure looks kinda like a person. Get pissed, thinking it was just some kid trying to scare us. Yell at him, telling him to fuck off. Turns its head to us, and yells its hellish scream. That fucking scream, man. Doesn't sound like something a human can yell. Nope, back behind us, the way we came. Hear it run around in the sewer. Hear the echoes get closer to us, in front of us. We think it went through a smaller tunnel that there was no way it could fit through. Hear it from the corner up ahead. What the fuck, we're gonna die. Run back the way we came. Get near the entrance, see the light. Thing not there, thank God. Get out of sewer. Friend still inside, waiting for me to cross the gate. Hearing thing running closer, don't see thing yet. Friend yelling at me, I hurry to get my foot through the gate. Fully through gate. Friend hurrying to get through. Hear thing get closer. Friend looks back, says he sees its shadow. Friend out of gate, we both see its shadow. Hear it yell again, and run back deeper into the sewer. Don't talk about it, all the way back to his house. Secret/hidden areas you have personally been to. B2005. Friend tells us about hidden tunnels at the mall. Go to the mall ourselves to check it out. To access, we went to the outdoor food court. There is the fire exit with stairs he mentioned. We go down the stairs to the very bottom. A locked chest-high gate blocks more stairs. We hop them and venture down even further. We probably went 3 to 4 floors below the mall. There is a door at the bottom of the stairs. Oh shit, it's unlocked. Enter the door and see a vast tunnel system. 2 square miles of pristine tunnels altogether. Notice there are no cameras anywhere. No guards or people or even a sound. Each path leads to a big steel door. Notice that each door has no visible points of entry or windows. Post any stories about secret/hidden areas you have been to. And yes, I am old. What the fuck did we come across? We went back maybe 5 to 6 times to drink, smoke, skate, and never saw a person each time. My friend, who worked at the mall, tried telling us that that's where they take kids who get caught for stealing shit. But even then, why no cameras? Or again, any visible points of entry on the big steel doors? Maybe they take kids down there to assault them/kill them. I personally believe this was a doomsday bunker, as I've read countless times that every major mall has one underneath. Pick related is what it looked like, only no signs and much less lighting. May, start of the year. Live on campus at uni. One night, me and a friend decide to invade over dorm buildings for fun. It's like 1 AM. Get to the honors dorm. It's older than the other dorms. Big open hall with hardwood floors. Get to stairs. There is a little gate heading downstairs. I'm on the ground floor. The gate opens up, and we end up in this creepy concrete tunnel. No one inside. At the other end of the tunnel, there is stairs that lead up to the other side of the building. It wasn't too crazy, but it was really creepy. I have some friends who claim the school is connected by tunnels underground. Reminds me of my university. Every dorm building had a basement with fully ready-to-be-used rooms, but they were closed off and never used, despite every dorm building being packed and hard to get into. One older building had a 5th floor that was completely locked, with rumors abound of rituals and a suicide having happened there. There was an attempt at having a haunted tour of that floor one year, but it mysteriously got cancelled. Big mall building in town. Has a really crazy space theme layout, built in the 90s. Has rocket-shaped elevators. Super cool. Place is built like a labyrinth. Almost completely empty. All the stores have shut down except for a bowling alley and movie theater on the upper floors. A lot of restaurants still have chairs and tables set out, with a thick layer of dust, pick related. Abandoned mini-golf in the basement that you can see into. All owned by some Chinese guy who doesn't give a shit. One day, find a door that's usually locked is open. It leads to an elevator. Wait for friends to arrive. Get in the elevator and try to go to basement, because I want to see the mini-golf. Button does not work. Go to next down instead. It works. Takes us to an area filled with rubbish bins and big whirring vents. Not supposed to be here, law. Try to go back to floor we came from. Button does not work. Oh fuck. Try the top floor. Works. Come out into some sort of fridge area. Walk out, and find ourselves in a bar which is part of the bowling alley. Bowling alley staff gives us weird looks, but does not say anything. speed walk out as fast as possible while avoiding eye contact. I went to the underground house in Las Vegas, only outside of it, could not get in. Cameras everywhere, walls and gates, etc. Creepy bomb shelter from the Cold War. But in the 2000s/2010s, it got purchased to store the bodies of people who cryogenically froze themselves. Smoker's staircase. There was a smoker's staircase at my old college, like a side entrance/fire escape nobody ever used. I don't even really remember how you got there. The top of the smoker's stairwell was blocked off and felt extremely unfinished compared to the rest of the building, which was actually the main administrative building of the university. There was tons of trash/graffiti on the walls. People literally only used it to smoke weed/tobacco, the vast majority being freshmen. I have no idea if the university was in on it or not. Renaissance Fair Special Campground. No, not quite what you're probably thinking, as far as I know. But this one is a camp that a certain festival troupe puts up all season long. I've only been there twice, and best I can describe it is as Harry Potter Goblet of Fire Quidditch World Cup camp, but real. All of it feels larger than life, and it's totally nestled away from the festival, and even most other festival workers. I only got to stop by because I am friends with one of the troupe members. Very magical scene. Hidden giant coffee shop. There is a small, ex-urban town by me that has an unassuming coffee shop, tucked next to a pizzeria. At first, it looks like it's really small, with only a couple of seats. However, there is a semi-hidden side staircase that leads to basically a whole-ass house on the second floor that's open to patrons. So, not strictly secret, but by golly, does it really feel like it, especially when most patrons have no idea of the massive upstairs area. They tend to either stay in the smaller lower level, or just grab and go, so when you go upstairs, you tend to be one of like 2 people up there. It's a really odd experience. I have some. Looking for a house with 2 of my friends. Get shunned around this really dingy one with a sealed off fireplace and mismatched wallpaper. Go outside to discuss what we think. Friend notices a window that we can see from the outside, but not the inside. We go inside and outside a few times to check. Finally figure out where it is meant to be relative to the inside, and there is just a wall in the hallway. Knock on the wall. It's hollow. Go back outside, and the light in the room is now switched on. We decided to pass on it. And over time, become obsessed with the shut-down section of a mall in the nightlife section of town. It's a very old set of apartment blocks, and the ground level was converted into a train station/shopping complex. The other 5 levels above and below have been sealed off for decades. One day, I noticed that the door leading up to the old apartments has been left open. Immediately stuff a card in the lock to keep it from closing and call my friend that shared my obsession. He arrives less than 10 minutes later, obviously having leapt out of bed and grabbed a rideshare right away. We go up the stairs, and disappointingly, the first 4 floors are locked. We get to the roof access, and the door being held open by a brick. We can see shadows and hear many voices. Very carefully open the door and peek through. We see a bustling bazaar of homeless people, like 1,200 feet of tents and tarps displaying a medley of wares and merchandise. They are bartering instead of using money from what we can tell, and in the center there is a large and comparatively palatial looking tent with weird glyphs that I later found out were homeless code. There is a defunct mall that sat near a 5 or 6 story Masonic temple where I live. The mall closed in the mid-2000s and was renovated into a horseshoe of neighboring hotels. It was after I graduated high school that someone told me about the lodge having gargoyle statues removed from the interior, and that the place had stained glass windows with weird designs. At another job, a Gen Xer mentioned the same area and told me about the underground tunnels that used to have a tour group. What I remember about the street layout near it are oversized traffic islands that go for more than a mile. They do intersect with some far-off North government buildings and end south at an old church, next to some dodgy-looking apartments/homes. They seem out of place too, like they were built in a rush. It's a route I've never fully driven, so maybe I'll have a look later. The entrances to the tunnels were blocked off with iron doors, and the mall itself had a basement, which was open to the public through a store named Mervin's. The Gen Xer guy said that the tunnels were built in the event of a plague to quickly dispose of bodies, and that there were large furnaces to do it. Maybe that was its original purpose. Roughly 10 years old, helping with elementary school play because I got volunteered. Teacher in charge trusts me to go and grab something from school storage on the other side of the building. Other side of the school is the old side, basically unused, and got demolished a while after I finished because it was a really small school. Storage was a weird sub-basement. Due to the architecture and where the school was, it was technically on the same level as the gymnasium on the far side I had just come from. Trying to find whatever I was sent to grab. Think it was a sort of cover or filter for this ancient spotlight that we were using for the play. Eventually find it, and it's right next to this big wooden door. Curious child, so I open it, and it's just a long hallway with some dim lights. Either were dusty or had not been changed. Decide to explore and run through it. Somehow exit into the gym storage. Walk back in like an idiot, but nobody noticed. Looking back, it was probably an old maintenance hall. Have to wonder what happened to it, since when the demolition happened, that storage room would have been a part of it. A lot of those old pipes probably went nowhere, since the school got a ton of renovations when I was there, including a complete overhaul of the washrooms. There wasn't much for the pipes to connect to as well. From what I remember, there was just 4 washrooms and 2 sinks. Only secret area I've ever been to. 2009-ish. Biking around with a friend. Find path in woods near the lake. Follow it. Come across an overgrown baseball field in the middle of the fucking woods. What? Walk around it. Find some skeet discs. Walk to the dugout. There's plywood on the floor and a broom propped up against the wall. We hear the sound of a huge door open, then close into the plywood. Fuck. We run as fast as we can back into the woods, then keep following the trail. Eventually, 2 guys wearing all black on all black dirt bikes come up the trail in the opposite direction and demand to know who we are and how we got here. I don't know, man. We're just riding in the woods. Demand that we leave. Alright. Turn around and start biking back. Soon as we are out of sight, we go through the woods and find another trail and start going in the same direction that we were earlier. Hide in the woods when we hear dirt bikes. Eventually, we start to hear/feel a thwomp sound coming from underground. We find an end of the line train in the middle of the woods that goes into a fairly large building. Train cars in front of it look like something out of a sci-fi horror movie. Huge aluminum looking cylindrical cars with port windows on them. What the fuck did we just find? Dirt bike guys spot us looking through the woods and start flying over towards us. We run into the woods, not on a path, and they can't follow. Get home. None of our friends believe us. Turns out a couple years later, the city revealed that they built one of the world's largest underground natural gas turbines right where we found it. Doesn't explain the baseball field door though. The guys on the bikes were probably private security hired by the landowner to keep people out while they tried to find a buyer. Looks like they did their job well. As for the door leading underground, I'm willing to bet it was a storage room or bunker for the baseball field. I could be wrong, since I don't know how these things usually work in your part of the world, but here in the Midwest US, people do dumb shit with property. For example, there is an abandoned hospital in my small town that got shut down over 50 years ago because of asbestos. There aren't any plans for it because the local governments are egotistical and never take responsibility unless they smell money coming their way. Honestly, I would not be surprised at all if your story happened where I live. There used to be a History Channel show that the host went to cities like Portland and New York and showed the underground tunnels built there. He also showed a few submarine bases carved into the fjord sides up in Norway/Sweden and northern Russia. Lots of rich people's mansions in London have expansive underground areas. They can't build up or out due to the fact that they have to retain the historical facade because of historical preservation laws, so they dig down. They build large party areas, wine cellars, even pools. Somehow, they avoid the London Underground subway tunnels. A few city centers/colleges in northern US states have tunnels connecting buildings because of high levels of snow in winter as well. University of Michigan is one. Moscow has a whole secondary, underground subway system for government and military only. Beijing Underground City, where they keep the Panda DNA vaults. Disney's underground tunnels are actually above ground. The whole park is built on top of them. I was involuntarily admitted to a mental institution that had underground tunnels. I was there in the middle of winter, which must have been why I was transported through them to the clinic to examine my toe infection. They were huge, easily wide enough for a golf cart to pass through, which is what I was transported on. The ride took so long, I started to wonder if the driver was lost. I was too depressed and medicated at the time to care, so I never found it interesting until now. Hey, I hope you've enjoyed the story so far. If you do and you want to hear more, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment down below, as it lets the algorithm know that you like my content and it promotes it to more people. My goal for the channel is to hit 50,000 subscribers, and we're closing in fast, so thank you, and back to the stories. I want to tell you a story that even I have questions about. Maybe someone can help me make sense of it. This happened not too long ago, just a couple of years back, between waves of the coronavirus. People were finally allowed to go back to work and take public transport, but the city had not quite returned to normal. I won't say which city exactly. Some of you might recognize it from the description. It all started when my friend Danya called, noting how long we'd all been cooped up, and asked if Alyssa and I wanted to go out into nature. Alyssa is, well, my girlfriend, or maybe my ex. I'm not even sure myself, but I definitely wanted to go out. After weeks inside, I was desperate for fresh air, so I just asked him, where exactly? To Liska, he replied, which is a nickname for Bald Mountain. I found something interesting there. Alyssa is sure to love it. Danya and Alyssa used to hang out often. He actually was the one who introduced us. They both loved exploring historic sites around the city, and Alyssa had always been drawn to places with a supernatural twist. She'd always dreamed of encountering something magical, though she'd never been that lucky, not that I expected her to be. As for Bald Mountain, there wasn't much to it. A mountain is a mountain, and this one's claim to fame was simply that it was in the middle of a sprawling city. Apparently, there are many similar mountains around the country. Ours supposedly served as a fortification during the First or maybe Second World War. I'd heard that Satanists once held rituals and even sacrifices in abandoned, unfinished buildings on that mountain, but honestly, I never believed it. The few times I'd been there with friends, we'd found nothing unusual. No pentagrams, no bloody rags, just trash and broken bottles, not even homeless people. Sometimes though, groups like LARPers and Tolkien fans would gather there on weekends in good weather. The place is pretty ideal for gatherings or training, with lots of trees and clearings, separated by massive earthen ramparts. It's easy for different groups to hang out without bothering each other. If we wanted a spot to play guitar, we'd have found one, but none of us could play, and we weren't there to sit around. Instead, we explored all the interesting nooks and crannies, and occasionally stumbled upon cool finds, or even real-life quests. But that's a story for another time, if I ever write again. Over the years, we wandered up and down that mountain, climbed the ramparts for the view, and even checked out a pagan altar there. Apart from some old idols and offerings of bread left on logs, there wasn't much to say. So I asked Danya, something new showed up? Exactly, he answered. There's a postern we had not noticed before, and it goes down somewhere. A postern, by the way, is an underground corridor in fortifications, and in this case, fortified passages under the mountain's earthen ramparts. They let people move quickly between levels, like from a lower path to a higher clearing. Most of Bald Mountain's posterns had caved in or been filled over the years. The few still open were limited, maybe a handful, if that. Ours were built of yellow brick and littered with scribbles like Vasha plus Dasha equals love. But when you explore places like these so often, you start tuning out the small stuff. You're sure we never saw it before? I asked. I was doubtful. Did someone dig out a buried passage? It's worth mentioning that Bald Mountain is a designated historical monument, though no one bothers with maintenance, and I couldn't imagine a group of volunteers tackling such a messy job. No, he insisted, it's brand new. I came across it yesterday, and I don't want anyone else finding it before us. Well, if you're that eager. In truth, I thought that even if we waited 6 months, we'd still be first. During lockdown, the city seemed deserted. I doubted anyone would go to Liska with all the employment issues. Alyssa and I were lucky. We'd kept our jobs since we both worked in IT. I was a web designer, she was an artist, and we both sold our work internationally. Awesome, let's go tomorrow. Danya sounded thrilled. I'll call Max and, Suyoga, could you let him know? If Alyssa's okay with it, I agreed. We'd planned to do something Sunday, but I think we can move it up. I'll call him. Max was the skeptic of our group and often clashed with Alyssa. Still, we invited him. He was her brother, and he was adamant that she shouldn't go to sketchy places alone. My presence didn't reassure him either. One day she'll get into trouble, he often muttered, bringing along gadgets like a smartphone and a voice recorder to capture paranormal phenomena, or, more likely, criminals if we got into a mess. So Yoga, on the other hand, was an acquaintance from university. He'd already been finishing his degree when I joined, and we'd met by chance. He was the go-to guy for information. He knew which bucks to use for projects, where to earn a little cash, even bus schedules. I sometimes suspected he knew sketchier things, like where to find weapons or drugs, but I never asked, and Suyoga, a classic nerd, probably would have just put me on some interested in weapons list as a joke. We called him Cho, since he had a habit of zoning out while on his computer, eventually asking her whenever people called him. Our paths diverged later. He graduated, I kept studying, but we'd exchange calls now and then. He was eccentric but quiet, and his head was full of random information. I say was, not because he's gone, but because we all lost touch. Danya doesn't even text me anymore, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, everyone agreed, and the next evening, we climbed the mountain. We went in the evening, as Cho requested. We made sure to head back before curfew. While it was only official during lockdown, it was still best to avoid trouble after dark. It was summer, so sunset came late. Alyssa, Danya, and I dressed in hiking clothes, but Max wore his usual city attire, and Cho looked like he'd been digging for a flea market. Old jeans, a faded windbreaker, and sandals. Max and I walked quietly at the back, while Danya and Alyssa led, scouting ahead as usual. Cho trailed behind, lost in something on his phone. So, where exactly are we headed? He asked suddenly. I hadn't given him details, hoping Danya would share for once. After all, he couldn't always be the know-it-all. I found a new postern. From the central stone, go straight along the road, then follow the rampart left. After a while, there's a spot with bushes. At first I thought it was a well, but it's not. It's yellowish like everything else around here, and slopes down. Did everyone bring flashlights? A new postern. I've been here 10 times and never saw any postern. Are you sure you didn't make something up? No, Danya huffed. Look, I filmed it. We all stopped and crowded around him to view the photos on his phone. What kind of postern is that? Max asked, finally. Looks like a bush over a hole. And it's blurry, couldn't you focus? It's just how it looks, Danya said, flipping through the photos. Each one showed the same bushy area with a hole underneath. You'll see for yourself. Did you actually go in there? Alice asked. No. My flashlight broke. It was creepy alone, and the phone light was not enough. We'll need a stronger light and maybe a rope, just in case. It's pretty steep. Someone should stay outside as a lookout too. Great. You're leading us into a pit, Max scoffed. Hope you get eaten by a sandworm. Ha ha. Danya was unfazed. Anyone scared can stay out. Alyssa, you with me? Of course, she replied instantly. Lava's coming too, right? Sure, I'm in, I agreed. I need to call someone, but I'll catch up, Cho said, stepping away with his phone. Should we wait? No, go on. Cho joined us a minute later, and we all continued. We reached the postern about 20 minutes later, after Danya spent some more time finding it in the bushes again. It turned out to be a hole in the ground, like an entrance to an old bunker. At the bottom, we could see brickwork, as if a ladder had once been there, but was now missing. There's no way no one's noticed this before, Max said. It's too obvious. Then why didn't we find it? Danya countered. We've searched this place plenty. Are we going down? You found it today, Max replied. How exactly? Did you fall in? No, I was just looking around and noticed the uneven ground. Probably a dead end, but we'll check it out and come back. Who's staying up here? Max? I'll stay, Cho said, crouching by the hole with a smirk. If anything eats you, scream. Let's use a rope, Max said. I'll stay up here too. Call if there's more than a dead end. Got one? Here's mine. I sat by the hole, taking out extra flashlights from me and Alyssa. It's not deep, but better safe than sorry. I don't like this, Max muttered, as he tied the rope around a nearby tray and lowered it. Don't linger down there. Alyssa and Danya went down first, and I followed. The descent was not too steep. We jumped down about a meter, and we walked on a downward slope. We had to switch on the flashlights, as there was no visible exit on the other side. Wow, Danya exclaimed once we were down. It turned out to be a real postern, tall enough for all of us to stand upright. He shone his flashlight over the walls. No inscriptions here. Looks like some animals have been through, Alyssa noted, brushing her hand over deep scratches on the old brick, which crumbled slightly under her touch. Probably wild dogs, I agreed. Remember, we saw some last time. If they can come here, there must be a way out. Or we'll run into a hungry, angry one, Danya joked. Wait, don't go too far, I said. Max asked us to signal if there's anything to see. We could just go out the other side and surprise him, Alyssa muttered, not really angry. He'd hate it here anyway. Is there a turn? I don't see an exit. Let's go until the first turn, then head back, I suggested. It looks just like an abandoned tunnel, nothing too special. Romantic, aren't you? Alyssa teased. We walked a bit further, until Cho suddenly caught up with us. There you are, he said. Max thought you were going too far. He asked me to bring you out. He's not feeling well, and thinks we should reschedule for next weekend. He's sick? Danya asked, sounding worried. Just a headache, nausea, something like that. Could there be toxins in here? I asked, suddenly uneasy. Not that I can tell. Alyssa sniffed the air. No metallic smell, no rot. Oh, what's that? I turned my flashlight to where she pointed and saw a large metal door built into the wall. Whoa, was Danya's only reaction. Actually, he swore, but I'll leave that out. I swear, Max always freaks out when it's getting interesting. Should we check it out first, then go back? It's creepy, Alyssa admitted, but why not just pull the handle? I saw a horror movie that started like this, Cho joked. You're not even a little scared. A little, Alyssa said, but you don't find anything interesting by staying home, do you? She took a step toward the door. I followed, figuring whoever installed it wouldn't leave it unlocked. There were no locks, just a simple knob bolted on. Imagine if someone put a crime scene tape here, Danya laughed, stopping next to me. The door looked modern and solid. Black metal, probably reinforced. Very funny, Alyssa said, reaching for the handle. The door did not open when she pulled. I think it's stuck, or maybe I'm just not strong enough, she said, shining her flashlight up at my face. Slav, want to try? Or maybe we could just forget it. I was feeling very wary. Who knew what was on the other side? Could be a bomb shelter or a subway service door. Come on, Slav, she pleaded. We didn't come all this way for nothing, Danya added. I shone the flashlight toward Cho. Only then did I notice he didn't have a flashlight and was standing a bit too casually. What do you think? I asked. I can try, Danya said, giving the handle a hard pull. It barely moved. It's definitely giving, but what's it made of? Titanium? As long as it's not uranium, Cho said, suddenly knocking on the door with his fist. The booming sound startled us all. Are you serious? Alyssa asked, alarmed. What? Cho looked at her calmly. You wanted to find something interesting, right? Like who lives there? If someone is in there, they'll come out and tell us to scram, and if not, then you'll just hear silence. So what's to be afraid of? Besides, if they try to push open that heavy door, you'll have time to see it. Maybe it'll just be a subway worker, I grumbled. Had enough adrenaline for one day? Right, adrenaline, Danya muttered. Found a new passage, found a mysterious door, and knocked on it. Adrenaline addicts. This isn't exactly free climbing on the cliffs. Cho pressed his ear to the door. No, I don't hear anything, he said, sounding careless. Well, anyone else want to listen? Let's open it, Danya urged. What's the worst that could happen? Could be an old supply stash or something, right? Or the door to Narnia. Alyssa looked at me. Cho suddenly burst out laughing. So out of character, we all stared at him again. Narnia, he kept laughing. Oh, I can't. Yeah, okay. But what if there's a trap on the other side, like in movies? You open it and bam, the gun goes off. His tone suddenly became serious. Are you not afraid of that, Alyssa? You think this is someone's hideout, or maybe there's treasure, she mused, Treasure wouldn't be so bad. We could donate it to a museum. Yeah, and then Bulb Mountain would be crawling with museum workers and illegal diggers, Joe noted thoughtfully, almost disapprovingly. But I bet it's empty. Just an empty room. Maybe a dangerous one. Something half collapsed or flooded. They probably added this door so nobody would wander in by accident. Has there ever been anything on this mountain? Fine, you're probably right, Danya finally said, sounding disappointed. Let's go back to Max. If we need to, we can come again next weekend. He looked around, found a medium-sized stone, and wedged it into the dirt near the door, positioned to fall over if someone opened it. Next weekend, I'll come check. No one would bother messing with a rock near the door just to trick us, right? Probably not, Alyssa sighed. Let's head out. We made our way back to the exit. Why'd you come here in the first place? Joe asked. Is wandering around damp tunnels that much more fun than sitting at home in the AC? Or at the very least, hitting up a mall? I've always liked exploring hidden places, she replied. Me and Danya. Slava just comes along for the company. I always thought maybe I'd meet someone interesting in a place like this. Who? Joe sounded genuinely curious as we climbed, taking it slower than our descent, loose gravel crunching underfoot. Someone, she giggled, as if embarrassed. Someone who'd know interesting things. Yeah. Danya turned, shining his flashlight one last time on the door, still closed in the distance. And I'm into history, so we combined our interests. Interesting people are usually into history, right? And dark places. No super cool person would be cooped up in an office, right? Maybe you don't know enough about them, Joe said cryptically. I doubt you'd find supers hanging out where you'd expect them, wouldn't you? More chances of finding them here, Alyssa said hesitantly, though sometimes I feel like I'll spend my whole life this way and never meet anyone interesting. Well, it's all good, right, Slav? Yeah, I agreed. Glad the conversation was shifting. I liked fantasy and the occasional scary story, but real-life mysteries, those I could do without. When we finally reached the exit, Danya and I helped Alyssa up first, using the rope. Oh my god, guys, she called from above, her voice panicked. I think he fainted. We scrambled out of the tunnel, and sure enough, Max was lying still on the grass, a little farther than we expected. We rushed over, gently shaking him. He wasn't too pale, and there were no obvious injuries or blood. He just looked like he collapsed. Luckily, he came to pretty quickly, he mumbled, squinting and shielding his eyes from the light. What happened? That's what we want to know. Danya shook his shirt in exasperation. What's up with you? Are you out of it? Feeling sick? Dizzy? No, not really, Max winced, touching his neck. I think someone attacked me from behind. Tried to choke me or something. Danya, Alice, and I exchanged looks, and we all turned towards Suyoga, but he was gone. Trying to recall, I realized I had not noticed him climb out of the pit. No way, Danya said shaken. Why would he do that? It couldn't have been him, Max said, confused. I think I saw him in front of me. The person behind me was taller, and Cho is way too skinny. He couldn't. It seemed like it was some bigger guy. This is really freaking me out, Alyssa muttered. Did you send Cho to get us? I asked, so he could tell us you were in trouble. No. Max rubbed his temples. We were talking and then, I think he just stared at me and I can't remember much after that. Did you see the attacker? I looked around. It was getting darker, but the trees and bushes weren't dense enough to hide anyone, even in camouflage. Maybe Cho saw it, got spooked, and went into the tunnel, Alyssa suggested nervously. And didn't tell us Max was attacked? Danya scoffed. No, something's not adding up here, and he was acting strange, not like himself. Maybe he's still down there, I suggested. We could just call out to him and say. We carefully approached the hole again, but saw nothing below. Suyoga, Danya knelt down, pulling aside some branches, and called down. Coming out. Max is okay. No response. We can't just leave him here, Alyssa said, voice trembling. We don't know what's going on, but if he's scared and hiding, we need to call him out. I'll go down, Danya decided. You guys stay here. I took Aikido. If he tries anything, I can handle it. He looked tense, and honestly, my heart was racing too. But we were close friends once, so I finally said, I'm coming with you. No, Danya replied. It's a short way in. If he's hiding, I'll be right back. He jumped down, turned on his flashlight, and disappeared into the tunnel. He was back quicker than we expected, climbing up silently and beginning to untie the rope. What happened? Alyssa asked. He's not there, Danya said, not looking at us. No sign of Joe, and the tunnel ends just past that door, a dead end. We were all silent, lost in thought. And the stone? I asked stupidly. It's still there. He must have come out while you were helping me, Max finally said, piecing things together. Maybe he didn't want to explain and left while you were getting me up. Or maybe that guy took him, Alyssa suggested uncertainly. And we didn't hear anything, I countered. Try calling him, Danya suggested. I took out my phone and dialed. This number is no longer in service. Silence fell again. So what do we do? Danya asked finally. Call the police? For what? I threw my hands up. We don't know if anything happened at all. Maybe he's messing with us. Let's try calling him again in an hour, or tomorrow, if he's still missing. Then we'll figure it out. Danya and Alyssa fell silent, resigned to the situation. It wasn't like there was anything else we could do. I couldn't even think of a way to get in touch with Joe's family, as I didn't even know where he lived. I feel like I need to go to the toilet, Alyssa said nervously. Let's go to the metro, guys. Maybe Joe is waiting for us somewhere along the way. We did not find him by the time we reached the metro. The air between us was thick with nerves, each of us looking at each other with apprehension. The situation felt eerie, and it was hard to ignore the unsettling thought that our friend was already lost to some cult, or worse, being dragged into some terrifying ritual. But as we neared the station, my phone rang. Joe's name flashed on the screen. I fumbled with it, poking at the screen with trembling fingers until I finally hit the green button. What the hell? I shouted into the phone. Where are you? Why didn't you tell me Max was attacked? Max was attacked? Joe's voice came through, distant and uncertain. It didn't sound at all like it had during our earlier encounters. I'm sorry, is he okay? Yeah, he's fine, but where the hell did you go? I took a breath. We thought Satanists had taken you and were sacrificing you. No. Joe let out a weak laugh, but it sounded hollow. Sorry, I had to leave quickly. Did you find what you were looking for? I didn't respond right away. You saw it yourself. I finally managed, but before I could finish, Alyssa grabbed the phone from my hand. Joe, you can't scare people like that, she said firmly. Did you see who attacked my brother? What happened, and why did he do it? Max blinked and asked quietly, What? Don't tell me that was a joke, Alyssa continued, her voice escalating in frustration. A joke to scare us. Well, you did a good job. Tell him he's an idiot, and you're an idiot too. We thought the worst was happening, and you weren't answering your phone. Ugh, whatever. She handed the phone back to me. I took it and pressed it to my ear again. Tell her I'm sorry. Joe's voice was softer now, apologetic. I didn't mean for this to happen. What happened? I started, but then the call cut off. She said it was his older brother, Alyssa said, sounding skeptical, who just happened to be there, and due to his personality, decided to mess with us. Does he have an older brother? Danya asked. We exchanged glances. None of us had ever heard about an older brother. Suddenly, I realized how little we actually knew about Tsuyoga, where he lived, who his family was, what his life looked like. The only thing I knew for sure was that he had done well on his exams. Damn, I muttered. Well, I guess that's good news. At least everything ended okay, so what now? Go home? Unfortunately, things did not end well. The next day, Alyssa disappeared. She said she was going to the city for a work meeting, but then I couldn't reach her. I don't know if it had anything to do with our Sunday adventures, but I had a feeling it did. Naturally, I called Danya first, because if anything happened to Alyssa, she would have called him. What do you mean her phone's not answering? Danya asked. And have you called Max? Not yet, I said, my stomach sinking. She should have come back by now. Do I call hospitals and morgues? Let's hold off on that, Danya said, his tone worried. Call Max again. Maybe he knows something. You shouldn't have gone there, I said angrily. There was something off about that door. Danya did not say anything for a moment. I thought he'd put his phone in his bag, assuming the call was over. But then he spoke again, his voice unsteady. When I went down there that second time, there was no door. What? I asked, my voice rising. No door, Danya repeated, his tone shaky. I almost went crazy. It was like hell down there. I didn't want to tell you and Alyssa, but I'm sorry I dragged you there. Well, I said, nervously, trying to downplay the situation. Maybe it'll be fine. Maybe Alyssa just lost her purse and her phone. She'll call from someone else's phone. She'll turn up. Let's hope so, Danya sighed. But when I tried to get through to Max, he didn't pick up either. Hours later, he finally answered. Alyssa is fine, he said, his voice dead, mechanical. We're just having some family problems. Don't worry about it. She'll call you later. But Alyssa did not call back. I tried reaching Max again, but he did not answer. Fortunately, Danya was still in touch, but he didn't know anything either. We were both on edge, equally worried. Then, a week later, Alyssa called. It was in the middle of the night. I'd spent the week texting her endlessly, sending messages on Telegram, each one read but left unanswered. My phone was on maximum volume, so when it rang, I jumped out of bed and grabbed it. Slava, I'm sorry for what happened. Alyssa's voice was soft, almost regretful. We won't be able to see each other for a while. You're leaving me? I could barely believe it. But what happened? Is someone dead? What's going on, Alyssa? I can't tell you, she sighed. Her voice sounded tired. It's better for you to not know. I'm trying to protect you. I'm the one who should be protecting you, I said, my frustration rising. What's going on? Are you okay? What about Max? Everything's fine. I did not believe her. If everything is fine, then why aren't you home? Why haven't you answered my calls or messages for a week? I've been really busy, she said. But just know that it's okay. I found something important, and I need to figure it out. But I have to do it alone, okay? Just trust me. I'll contact you when it's all sorted out, and I'll understand if you want to find someone else. No, Alyssa, please, I begged. Let's meet, I want to see you, The call ended abruptly, her words left hanging. I rubbed my face in frustration and immediately called Danya. Yeah, she called me too, he said, after listening to my frantic account. At least she's alive, right? That's something, right? I can't be happy when my girlfriend is missing, I said, nearly yelling. We need to figure out what happened. I don't know what to think, Danya sighed. Maybe the only thing left to do is to check that place again, but I doubt she'll be there. You know what? You should check her social media, talk to her friends. At least you'll find out if she's still working. You know the site she uses, her passwords, anything. I know something, I agreed reluctantly. Okay, I'll check. If I find out anything, I'll call you. But when I went back to check that place, I did not call him. I did not want to put him in danger. And for some reason, I felt that going alone will give me a better chance of finding answers. But when I got there was nothing. The place was empty. The sparse, half-dead bushes, the scattered branches. No signs of anything. No hole, no door, no trail leading anywhere. Even the bark on the tree, where we'd tied the rope, was slightly torn, as if it had been removed. And Alyssa? Gone. When I asked her mother, she seemed confused, almost like she thought she was still away on some agreed-upon work trip. Then Max called, furious, accusing me of trying to set her up, saying I should keep quiet if I wanted her to be okay. I took the risk and went to their house to talk to Max. He did not want to say anything. He was angry, closed off. It was clear that he was not going to help me. Nothing made sense. I still don't know what happened that day. It's been over a year now, and I have no clue where she is. The scariest thing is that she's still paying the rent in our apartment, so I'm afraid to move out, even though I know it's stupid. She hasn't called or texted again. My messages are still read, but there is no response. Every day, I send her a message, telling her how I'm doing, hoping to hear something back. And now, the only thing I fear is that I will never see her again, or that I'll die not knowing the truth of what happened. The way things are going in the world, it seems like that could be easily the case.